A dark encounter. In the dimly lit room, the air was thick with anticipation. The walls, adorned with dark crimson drapes, seemed to pulse with the energy of the scene unfolding within. Max, a towering brown bear with an imposing presence, stood in the center, his eyes glinting with a mischievous light. He glanced over at his partner, Chris, a human with striking blonde hair and an aura of nervous excitement. Hang on. Think I got one left, Max muttered, his voice a deep rumble that sent shivers down Chris's spine. Chris's heart raced, a mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through his veins. God, Max, you sure he can take it? Chris asked, his voice trembling slightly. He knew what was coming, but the anticipation was always the hardest part. Max grinned, a wicked gleam in his eyes. That's right, boy. Take it all. Max growled, his tone commanding and authoritative. He moved closer to Chris, his massive form casting a shadow over the smaller human. Chris braced himself, knowing that Max was about to push his limits once again. With a deep, guttural sound, Max began to strain. The muscles in his body tensed as he focused on the task at hand. HRRNH, he grunted, the effort evident in his voice. Chris's eyes widened as he realized what was about to happen. The next moment, Max's anus opened, and he began to defecate. Chris, positioned directly in the line of fire, felt the warm, soft mass hit his face. He opened his mouth, obediently taking in Max's excrement as it filled his mouth. The taste and texture were overwhelming. But Chris knew this was what Max wanted. That's it, Max encouraged, his voice softer now but still commanding. Take it all, just like a good little pet. Chris's heart pounded in his chest as he swallowed, his body responding to Max's dominance. The scene continued, each moment more intense than the last. Max defecated with a steady, deliberate pace, ensuring that Chris took every bit of it. The room was filled with the sounds of their breathing, the wet, squelching noises of Max's bowel movements, and the occasional grunt of effort. Chris's face was soon covered in Max's feces, his mouth filled to capacity. He could hardly breathe, but he didn't care. The act of submission, the complete surrender to Max's will, was exhilarating in a way that nothing else could match. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Max finished. He looked down at Chris, his eyes filled with satisfaction. Good boy, he murmured, reaching out to caress Chris's face, smearing the feces even further. You did well. But as Max withdrew, he noticed something remarkable. Chris, filled to the brim with Max's feces, was now experiencing the overflow in a grotesque display. The excrement began to ooze out of Chris's eyes, adding a surreal and extreme element to their already intense encounter. Chris's face was a mask of submission and overload, his eyes leaking the very substance he had been forced to ingest despite the discomfort. There was a strange sense of fulfillment in his gaze, knowing he had taken everything Max had given him. In that dimly lit room, surrounded by the remnants of their encounter, Chris knew that he would do anything for Max. And Max, in turn, reveled in the power and control he held over his willing partner. Together, they explored the depths of their desires, pushing boundaries and breaking taboos. And in the end, it was their connection, their unspoken understanding of each other's darkest fantasies, that bound them together.